Welcome to Thursday Night Football presented by Bud Light Platinum, and welcome to US Bank Stadium here in Minneapolis, Minnesota for the start of Week 14 of this 2021 NFL season. A big matchup for you. At the 6-5-1 Pittsburgh Steelers are in town to play the 5-7 Minnesota Vikings. Now, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Thursday Night Football on Fox NFL Network and Amazon Prime Video. I'm Tamir Moore, and welcome to Minneapolis. Let's start with some basics of this game. The Vikings return home for their Thursday Night Football matchup here tonight against the Pittsburgh Steelers here at US Bank Stadium. Last week, the Vikings had a heartbreaking loss, as most of you know, that lost at Detroit 29-27 with the Lions scored on the final play of the game. Meanwhile, for Pittsburgh, they earned a 2019 win against the Ravens on Sunday at home. You know, of course, in that ball game, the Ravens tried to go to the two-point conversion for the win, but did not get it. So Pittsburgh was able to escape with a narrow one-point win. Last week, Minnesota quarterback Kirk Cousins continued his franchise record of 26 consecutive games with a touchdown pass thrown with 2 against Detroit. The Steelers come in with a 6-5-1 record. The Steelers are in the 8th spot in the AFC right now, so Pittsburgh is on the outside looking in. The Pittsburgh Steelers started the season 1-3. The Steelers have turned things around nicely with a 5-2-1 record since. The Steelers are still hanging around. Not the thing with Pittsburgh. When the Steelers are right at all, that's when Pittsburgh plays their best football. And like I said before, the Steelers are still right in the thick of it, currently trailing Cincinnati and Buffalo, who hold the 6th and 7th spots in the AFC right now by half a game. And the Ravens lead the AFC North at 8-4. Then you have Cincinnati. Then you have the Steelers. The AFC North is very tight. So potentially, not only can Pittsburgh still clinch a wild card, but more importantly, Pittsburgh can still wind up as division champions. Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger last week in that 2019 win against the Ravens, 236 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a quarterback rating of 111.8. He's in his 18th year, and Big Ben is still able to put up those type of numbers. Kind of goes to show you that Ben loved the game of football, and football loves him back. Pittsburgh's offensive line only allowed 1 sack against Baltimore last week. They were really solid. Remember, the Steelers have rookies up front. So the fact that they're able to keep Roethlisberger clean for as long as they did shows that they're learning basically on the job. And Ben Roethlisberger appreciates when your offensive line protects, and they only allow 3 quarterback hits. Outside linebacker TJ Watt is having a fantastic season. 16 sacks, which leads the team, and 16 tackles for loss, which also leads the team. And you look at Pittsburgh pass defense this season, they rank 96.3, so they're bottom 10 in pass defense, in 21st in terms of yards per attempt, 7.6. So Pittsburgh bottom 10 in pass defense, which means basically you're able to pass pretty well against the defense. They can't guard against the pass. You look at their pass defense against Lamar Jackson last week in Week 13. They allowed Lamar to throw less than 7 per attempt and hold on to a rating of about 80. So they stifled Lamar Jackson. They smothered him a lot. You look at Pittsburgh's run defense against the Ravens last week, 25 carries for 107 yards. 4.3 yards per carry, and a touchdown. Since Thursday Night Football debuted back in 1980, the Steelers possessed an 11-11 record in those 22 games. Since 2007, the Steelers have had a .635 winning percentage in the month of December, tied for third with the LA Chargers and the Colts. Only the Packers and the Patriots have a better winning percentage in December. Steelers wide receiver Deontay Johnson leads the Steelers in receptions so far with 76 this season, and first downs by receptions with 46. And since 2007, which was Mike Tomlin's first year with the Steelers at the head coach, Pittsburgh has compiled an impressive 39-20 record versus team for the National Football Conference. Now the Vikings come in with a record of 5-7. They started the season 3-3. Minnesota's had a roller coaster season, up, down again. 2-4, they've had a roller coaster season. It really has been crazy what the Vikings have gone through this season, right? Because it seems like mostly all their game come down to the last possession of the game. We told you about the heartbreaking loss they had last week against the Detroit Lions. And Minnesota is 5-7. This is a big game for them. They're 9th in the NFC. But the good news is Minnesota is only one game behind San Francisco for the final playoff spot in the NFC. So despite Minnesota's 5-7 season, Minnesota still has a chance to make the playoff. They're second in the NFC North. Minnesota knows the NFC North is all but wrapped up with Green Bay. So Minnesota's best shot of getting in is the wild card. You look at their pass defense last week against Detroit quarterback Jared Goff. They did allow Jared Goff to throw for almost 300 yards. 3 touchdowns, and a quarterback rating of 97.2. So they struggled against Jared Goff. Jared Goff had a field goal against his Minnesota pass team. You look at Minnesota pass rush, 3 sacks and 7 quarterback hits. So they really struggled getting to Jared Goff. His offensive line played clean. And look at the Vikings offensive line this year. They allowed 18 sacks, so Kirk Cousins have been put on the ground quite often, tied for third. So clearly the offensive line has not done a good job of giving Cousins enough time to drop back and pass. And you look at their offensive line last week at Detroit, 3 sacks allowed, 8 quarterback hits. So obviously Kirk Cousins was put on the ground and hit pretty often. So offensive line must do a much better job in that respect. You look at Kirk Cousins, though, who played collegiately in Michigan State, starting his career in Washington. Now he's here in Minnesota. Kirk Cousins was brought to Minnesota to win. He hadn't done a lot of winning, particularly once the Vikings get to the postseason. But Kirk Cousins' numbers last week in a loss to the Lions, 340. Yards passing. He did throw 2 touchdowns, which is great, but they lost the game. 116.7 quarterback rating. Adam Thielen, the great Minnesota wide receiver, left last week with an ankle sprain, and he's inactive tonight, so he will not play, so that's a big loss. But one thing Minnesota can hang their hat on is their second-year receiver from LSU. His name is Justin Jefferson. He's been great. His numbers this year, 6.5 receptions per game, 100 yards per game, and 7 touchdowns. And Justin Jefferson last week had 11 receptions for 182 yards and a touchdown. Running back Alexander Madison last week against the Lions, 22 carries for a 90-yard, 4.1 yards per carry, and a touchdown. And Justin Jefferson, 577 reception yards from week 10 against the Chargers to week 13 are the most in a 4-game stretch in Vikings history. So that's the basic breakdown of both of these teams coming in. Let's hear from the teams themselves, how they feel about this one. And we'll start with the Vikings. And this is their head coach, Mike Zimmer, talking to a reporter after that heartbreaking loss against the Detroit Lions on Sunday. Mike Zimmer said, quote, "Okay, probably didn't play enough to win today. We didn't play well in the first half. We got a 4th down stop in our own territory, ended up getting a field goal. We turned the tight end loose on a route, had some over routes, that hit on us. We had to change some things up at halftime, but we didn't start the game well enough to really play as well as we could. Came back, played better in the second half, but obviously the end of game situation, like I told the team, you play all these close games. They're going to come down to either win or lose. That's just the way the NFL is. So obviously, Mike Zimmer was very honest, very frank, and very upfront with reporters because that game, Minnesota had a chance, but unfortunately blew it. Of course, allowing Detroit to score on that 4th down touchdown that gave the Lions the victory. And for Mike Tomlin, regarding his team's performance last week against Baltimore, Mike Tomlin had this to say on Monday. He said, quote, "Good afternoon. As always, I'll start with a quick synopsis of our most recent performance, and this will be really quick. To be completely transparent, I haven't watched one snap of the game. Oftentimes, when you're challenged with short weeks such as that, you just keep moving forward. At some point, I'm sure I'll get an opportunity to watch it and dissect it and cut it up. Use some of those plays as teaching tool to continue to move this outfit forward and get better in certain areas. But as I sit here today, I've just moved on to Minnesota. But I feel the same way that I felt in a lot of areas last night regarding the performance. It was necessary in some instances. I thought our continued commitment to running the ball was significant. Although we didn't have a lot of success early, I thought we were able to gain a little bit of rhythm and success in that area due to the commitment. I thought we did a nice job of taking care of the football. Possessing the football is a critical component. When we do that, we have a chance to win. I also thought just the one-on-one playmaking, particularly at a waiting moment outside of the wide receiver position, has always been something that kind of outlined this series, corners and wideouts in those moments. I thought our guys made the necessary play, particularly in the waiting moment down the stretch," end quote. So, those are the head coaches feel about last week. And of course, short week, right, from Sunday to Thursday. So these coaches understand that these two teams are coming off of very different outcomes on Sunday. Minnesota coming off a tough loss. Pittsburgh coming off a gritty win. We'll see what happens here tonight. Thanks so much for watching tonight's Steelers Vikings game preview here on Thursday Night Football. Please join me next Thursday for the last installment of the Thursday Night Football pregame show hits at the Chief visit the Chargers to begin Week 15. Tonight, the Steelers play the Vikings in a 40 game. Kickoff is set for 8:20 p.m. Eastern on Fox NFL Network and Amazon Prime Video. Until then, I'm Tamir Moore. So long from UF Bank Stadium in Minneapolis, Minnesota.